Hello, everybody. I'm on at 7:15 and not 7. For some reason, the live did not go live, so we had to reestablish everything. Anyway, as they say, the show must go on. Tonight we have Randy Chaffee on, and Randy is a good friend who has reinvented himself. COVID has brought many changes to our business cycle and business practices, and Randy's a winner. We're going to discuss that. And here's Randy.
JR, how are you?
How you doing, man?
Doing awesome, buddy. Doing awesome yourself.
Hey, we go through these trials and travails, and they either kill us or make us stronger, and I'm still breathing. So prognosis is good.
Exactly. What they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Yeah. Hey, anyway.
Yeah. And we've made it long enough. We should be pretty damn strong by now, right?
It's amazing. Yeah. Anyway, Randy is someone who's been doing his business, which is Source One LLC, Marketing LLC, for what, 25 years now?
No, it's been off and on. I had a little break in there as I was a purchasing agent for a while, but basically I'm about 4 decades in now with this thing.
Oh wow,
that sounds less long than 40 years. So
as the old saying goes, you started when you were in grade school, huh?
Exactly. I was 13.
It must have started in Arkansas. But anyway.
Exactly.
And anyway, what Randy does is he is the wholesaler to the wholesaler is the way I think of him. He's the next step up for the building materials to the people that distribute the building materials to the guys that put it on your roof. And it's been an interesting time, Randy. I mean, you've gone up through the ranks, and like anybody else, you've gone on the road and established everything. Tell us a little bit about the good old days.
And they really were good old days. And I am the consummate road warrior, if you will, or old school road warrior, if I can say that. I was back in the younger years. I still remember the page. Now it's really going to date me, but the pagers and before I even had a cell phone. So right, you drive up to phone booths and dial this 714 digit number with your head hanging out the window, ice falling on your head, and trying to dial a number, and somebody wasn't there. 80,000 miles in a car, and then about 9 years ago, I decided that when I wasn't traveling, I wanted to work from home from the South. And so then I moved to Florida for most of the year. Still continue the road warrior mentality for years, just more airplanes and rental cars, but the same concept. So I've been doing that off and on for in different ways, different areas, but for, like I said, about 4 decades, JR. And so I understand the pounding the road. Don't dislike it. Would go back on the road today, tomorrow, if when it's safe, when it's right, when it's acceptable, I guess, if you will. But yeah. So, and I know some of what you want to talk about tonight was anybody ready for that? I remember the date was March 17th. Yeah. But does anybody remember the date that the world changed, if you will, for them? Right. For me, it was right. March 17th.
Right. So. But I guess my question with that, before we transition quickly, which I appreciate you're doing, I was on the road. And I went from 0 to 30 states in 18 months in a photography business that I did. And I did that for about 15, 20 years. And, I used to joke that I was changing my middle name to Toomey, because I live with my bag more than I lived with my popcorn. The dog would look at me sometime when I'd come home after a couple of weeks, and it's like, who the heck is this? Fortunately, she was sweet natured, but people that haven't lived that life, it looks very, very, very exciting. And it is. You go to a lot of new places and see a lot of new stuff. But I'll tell you, Hyatt Regency looks the same no matter if it's in Louisville, Lexington, or Concord, Massachusetts. They're all the same.
They're all the same. And, funny story what you just said. I remember, I make a joke of this, but it's kind of almost true. You walk into I'm a Hilton guy.
Yeah.
I like the Garden Inns because the little restaurant and bars right there. So you kind of don't have to wander off if you don't want to.
Wine and cheese at 6 o'clock.
Pardon?
Wine and cheese at 6 o'clock.
Exactly. How can it get better? But I remember walking in one night, and they all looked generally the same, right? I walked in, and I swear I saw myself sitting over at the bar because it was like, you're so used to doing that it's like, the old catch yourself coming and going. It's
right.
Like, man, am I sure I wasn't in this same hotel last night? Because it sure seems like it. It was same change, just different city, 300 miles away. But so yeah, exactly. You and I come from the same background, and loved it. I mean, it's a great life to do that if you're used to it. Can get old after a while.
The best one for me was, you meet people on the road and you cross paths and you think, oh, it's a big world, but it really isn't in the world of a traveling sales rep. And I used to cross paths with a couple guys regularly. I think it was 1989 or 1990, whenever it was the World Series in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Whatever it was, late 80s.
Year, I can't remember.
Yeah. But it was early 90s, late 80s. I can't remember exactly when. But he got called out of town and he had to go to the airport that night. He had tickets right behind home plate for the next night. So, and I was working with my best client, the gravy train. And so I said, hey, what are you doing tonight? Well, I said, and I had the tickets in my pocket.
No
and I
way.
said, guess what I got for us?
Nice. This is in Cincinnati.
This was in Cincinnati, yeah. So the series was going, and I got tickets behind home plate, like 5 or 6 rows up. I mean, the best seats in the house, right?
Right.
Anyway, there are good things, but we could talk for about 5 hours. We won't. About the boring stuff and about, oh my God, I'm at Bob Evans again.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
No,
tell me about you were transitioning, because all of a sudden everything stopped. The world stopped.
It did. And it's funny, JR, because going into previous to March 17th, and I remember that date for a reason, it'll come up here in a second, but previous to that, my mindset, it started to discuss within my own little voices in my head, there's a lot of them, that there had to be a little better way to do this. The old road warrior pounding it thing was getting a little old. And it wasn't even so much it was getting old, is that it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot out of you. It's costly. And you're at best going to see 4 or 5 people in a day, if you're lucky. But they're good C's, they're good touches, because you're having breakfast with a customer, lunch with a customer, going to a ball game, as you said. But I thought, there's got to be a way that I can force multiply myself. But I hadn't got to a point of figuring out what that was, because I was too busy being a road warrior. And so real quickly, I was in Tulsa at a sales meeting that we didn't even know if we should have or not, because this whole thing was starting to happen and flights were becoming issues, and ball games are getting canceled and all those things, but we were still there. And I remember being at the Tulsa airport, going to Atlanta, and then back to Fort Myers, Florida, where my car's parked. I rented 2 cars just in case I didn't get any flights. Then I canceled them once we got in the air. Sorry, budget, but you left me hanging once or twice, so I think we're even. Anyway, but I realized something's changing. I didn't know how severe and how long and how much, but I started using my notepad in the Tulsa airport, on the plane, Atlanta airport, on the plane, and started a format, JR, of where am I going to go from here to be different? How am I going to do this? And that's where my the start of, as you put up on the screen, my Randy 2.5 hybrid amazing concept started is how do I combine the old world that I still need to do, because my industry is still very much a rural hog industry. People need to see me, and I take them donuts, and we go to lunch, and we go have a burger and a brew after after work. That's still important, but how do I go a little more modern, and how do I make use of virtual video, things like that? And so I got started watching, Jeffrey Gitter's 9:59 a.m. broadcast. I bought his course on the new normal, and really started figuring out that, I can do this virtual thing. I think maybe all the time for a while, which is what I did when we couldn't travel, right? But then I soonly, that works, started figuring out that I can hybrid this into a combination. And that's where the hybrid came in, JR, is how do I hybrid and augment when I'm in between travel with virtual and vice versa. So that's what I've been working on, JR, for the last 10 months, is trying to fine tune that thing. And I'll tell you, I have worked more, and you said earlier, work less. I work less as in traveling, absolutely. Do I probably spend more hours a day working now than I ever have, but I do it from home right now. And then as time allows, I'll supplement that with good quality, travels back out to see customers. But I find that on an average day, I might touch 25 customers, with virtual, with all the technology we have today. And as I've got more used to doing some of that stuff, probably 70% of my texts are video texts now. I don't say I don't, I do, but probably 60-70% of the time I just grab the phone and hold it up and say, hey, JR, it's Randy, just checking in. How you doing, brother? Hope you got that order. Let me know how it looked, stuff like that. And
it's great.
It's because there's a difference, and you can see each other, right? Even though that's a one-way communication, but it's one way where they're seeing my face, they're seeing me talk, they remember what I look like, right? So that's what I've been spending my time doing.
Yeah, as they say in the Carolinas, you give a rip.
Exactly.
Because I mean, I got a text. Well, I'm calling it a text, but it's better than a text. I got one of those Randy 2.5s around New Year's from you, and you were just driving down. By the way, everybody, just go ahead and hate Randy right now, because he's in his palatial estate down there in Naples, Florida. And when he's working hard, he's on the back deck with maybe a little carafe of wine and some cheese and stuff. And, that it's like a dream gig, It's they
I'm
call
feeling
it.
see anything wrong with this picture yet. I'll be right back. I want to go outside for a minute.
Yeah. But I get this video, and it's a brief, it's a 4-minute video, but Randy just uses his windshield time profitably by, hey, I think I'll wish JR Happy New Year. And so I get this thing out of the blue, and that's this new, I don't like the word new normal.
I don't either.
We've got to come up with some sort of, hey, we're old marketing guys. We got to come up with something clever on this, Randy. Exactly. But whatever it is, it's great, because like right now I'm talking to you, and we're talking to our friends and other people that are interested. There's people that are your clientele that are going to get this on the repost.
Correct.
And it's great, because they're like, who is this guy with the blue background? He's a wild man, but he seems like a nice guy, and he's one of Randy's friends. And
right,
it's like you're in the living room with us, hanging out.
It is, and it makes a big difference between.
And to say, hey, what? No, but I mean to say, hey, look, I've got, like if I sold pens, hey, look, we got this new model pen, and I got to show you, man. You twist it, and it's right here. Yep. It's not reading it, it's living it.
Well, it is. And I found it, like, one, nobody else does it for the
Right.
most part. And two, I find, like, for example, and I remember I do this fairly often. I just quoted a new customer up in a mutual friend of ours area, Tim Lord. I think you know Tim
Yes.
also. Up in his neck of the woods. So I get the quote back from my manufacturer, right? 5-6 page quote. So I take the first page, I print it off. Now I've got it in a PDF form. I'm going to send it to my customer, but I jump on like this, and this is not it, but I hold it up. And I says, hey, it's Randy with Source One Marketing. I've got your quote on the PDF below. I just wanted you to look at right here, fourth item down. This is the item you're most interested in right here. That's what we talked about. Here's the line item, boom, boom, boom. And, 40 seconds, sent it. And I got an email back 20 minutes later and said, I never got something like that.
Wow.
And she said it was so interesting because I now have met you as opposed to just talking on the phone, because I can't go see her right now. It's just challenging to do because this is a few months back.
Well, Randy, who wants to go up there in the snow belt right now? I mean,
exactly.
Come on.
Exactly. And from a standpoint of time, and I remember Jeffrey's talked about this before, you get this idea of getting on a plane in New York City and flying to Dallas for the day and flying back. Just the cost in time, the cost in money, the flights, all the stuff that's involved to go see a couple, 3 customers is a $1,500 trip if you're lucky. Or I jump on here, I do it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. We have a great conversation. You get to go as a buyer to go back to whatever it is you're doing. You don't feel obligated to go to lunch with this knucklehead because I asked you to, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Charles, I use BombBomb, Charles. But also, if you're a customer and we're doing a Zoom call,
yeah,
you get to go back to what you're doing. I get to go to the bathroom, grab another bottle of water, and sit down and do it again, and again, and again, and again, right? All day long if I want to. So that's what I talk about it as a force multiplier.
exactly.
Is it ever going to be? Because I've seen 2 sides of this, and that's where my hybrid and my 2.5 hybrid amazing comes into play. It's really just more for myself than anything else, but there seems to be, like in everything, there's gray areas, there's black and white, and I feel like most things are gray.
Yeah.
There's people that'll go,
Except for me.
Okay, I have gray. I can't tell. But there's some people that'll say, we're never going back. It's over. Never going back. Never going back to the old normal. I don't buy that either. We'll go back some. But then you got other people that say, I just wait till the old normal. I'll wait till we go back. I'm just going to wait. Well, while you're waiting, and if I'm going to be bold now. That's unusual for me, not really. You want to be bold? Thank you. Because you just made my life that much easier.
Yeah.
If you want to set and wait for the old normal to come back, because one, do I believe we're going to go all the way back? No, I don't. I believe there's been a continental shift, if you will, in how we do business. So what I'm saying is, if this whole COVID thing was gone tomorrow, which would be awesome.
Awesome.
I don't think, would I be on the road for 3 weeks solid? Yes, I probably would, because there's a lot of people I need to go see and reconnect with, right?
Right.
But would I go back to the old Randy? No, I would be augmenting, travel, in person, bro hugging, pizza pie, with more of this kind of stuff in between. So that's where I come up with the idea of hybrid, JR.
Yeah, well, you haven't seen these folks in a while, so once we can get through this thing and all get vaccinated or whatever, and it sort of, praise the Lord, abates, the tide rolls back out for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, we got to do that. But the thing that's nice is you don't have to do it as much.
Correct.
And the thing that's nice about it is, just because somebody sends you a proposal request and you've got it, you're still going to go, hey, here's my speaker for next week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to come over and talk to you and go, hey, Randy, what are you doing 7:15 Tuesday?
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
again, everybody, sorry about that. I don't know. It's Facebook just got rid of my invite. So,
That's life.
you know,
Life alive. I thought maybe you went to Facebook jail, maybe, but
well,
luckily
you know,
not. Yeah, rules do
I go to Facebook purgatory every so often because I think, you know, boys just got to have fun, Randy. What can I say, brother?
They do. They do. I think Cyndi Lauper's husband sang that, right?
Uh-huh. But you know what you're saying is very key to all this, and it's working smart, because one of the things, you're such a gentleman, because the competitive alpha male in me with that other guy that says he's sitting it out, I'd say,
Mhm.
I've been wanting ABC distributors anyway, and
Well,
so thank you. I'm with you. Stay home. Um, I'll be ABC. I'll be through the alphabet 3 times by the time you get off your
right.
duff, and you
Well,
won't have any business.
exactly, and that's exactly the way the hunter part of you need to look at it that way. Because
Yeah.
I remember the last time that this sort of shift, I think, was back going into the teeth of the recession in what, like 2008 or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I remember I had a distributor show, a dealer show, which is your typical tabletop, you know, at a distributor, and all your competitors and non-competitor reps are all standing around, you know, your little table, glad handing everybody, and they come by and hand them a pen and chatting with them and so
I'll
forth.
go
It's all
for
good
you
stuff.
for your Kit Kats, brother.
Yeah, exactly. They're pulling the Kit Kats out, but you're sneaking the ones you really want out of the bag and putting them behind so you have them. But
That's it.
you know, I remember it's like we talked to all these reps and they're all going, that's it. After this, I'm going back home and it's going to be bad. It's going to be awful. I'm going to stay home. I'm not going to travel. I'm not going to do anything. And my weird little mind says, I'm going to travel more than ever, because you know what? I I will always put my money on myself. Do I always win? No, but way more than I lose. Um, so I always put my money on myself head to head. But
Right.
if you're going to make it easy for me by not going anywhere, thank you. I'll just go call on your customers for the next year and a half while you're sitting home because you're afraid to travel for the economy sucks. Well, you know what? Yes, it was sucky. And it's going to suck worse if you don't go do something about it, right?
Well, it's going
That
to
was
be
always my take at the time.
right. There's coming out of this thing. I mean, you know, it's no secret that gas prices are going to go up.
Yep.
You know, the administration doesn't like fracking. So, you know, our gas prices are going to go. And if they're following Obama's whatever, he said he wanted $6 a gallon gas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, you're making good bank when you're out there on the road. But if you're not making good bank, that $6 a gallon, and if, you know, if all of a sudden it's $200 at the inn that you're at, and it's
Yep.
$20 for a pizza,
Right.
you know, you're still going to be working better because you're on the road half the time and you're on the phone the other time,
Mm-hmm.
and you're creating the videos the other time.
Correct. Yep.
And I guess one of the things I wanted to talk about, though, is you are, I watch your videos and I listen to this stuff because I was involved with a lot of sticks and bricks back in the past. I've got my real estate broker's license in North South Carolina for 33 years, and I've done all sorts of stuff with commercial and residential, both sides, lending, real estate, blah blah blah. There's so much cool stuff you have that I see. Like, I always thought metal roofing was great, but now you can get this little aggregate that's on there bonded, so
Yep.
it looks like tiles.
Yeah. That's an area that's been fun. Metal roofing in general, of any shape or if I had to answer the question, if there was a one-word answer to, or one area that I'm really involved with, it's metal roofing in general.
Yeah.
Post-frame buildings and the products that go into that, but metal roofing is my target customer. That's my base. And so for years, metal has been growing and growing its popularity for residential. But what happened is a lot of people love the idea of metal. It's really kind of a lifetime product. I mean, the painted comes with a 40-year warranty. I sell fasteners that puts metal down. Some of those have a 40-year warranty. So there's a lot of good metal roofs, but there's rib panels and there's standing seams and there's different types. But there's a market out there, JR, for people that want it to still look like their neighbor's house. Typically be the wife's word. The husband says, I love metal. I love the idea of metal. I love that it's a long warranty product. It's kind of one and done. I buy a roof once and it's over. The wife will say, that's fine. I get all that, but I don't want it to look like a pole barn. I don't want it to look like, a commercial building. I want it to look like a shake or like a shingle or like a clay tile. And so, with this stone coated product, it's a shingle larger than an actual asphalt shingle, but it's still a shingle that's laid like a shingle, generically speaking. But it's got the 3M aggregate stone in colors adhered to the metal. So you got the metal underneath, and then you've got the stone on top. So it's energy efficient. It's a great look, and so it meets with a lot of HOAs that won't always accept. Nice HOAs won't always accept metal if you don't go in and explain it to them, because they think of the ag building or they think of the local dime store or dollar store with the standing seam roof on it, right?
Well,
and they don't want that.
But are these like the asphalt tile dimensions also?
No,
and
they're
you
bigger
put it
than
on?
that. They're a bigger tile. They're generically 16 by 46 inches.
But it's got the same look, only you got Texas size shingles.
Yeah, you get bigger shingles, so the install maybe you get a little quicker. But you've got the little bit bigger panel, but it gives you so they come stamped first. So you either get a shingle look on how it's stamped, or you get a shake look on how it's stamped, or the barrel tile, which is popular. I mean, that's what's on my house is the clay tile. But you get that look. So you get the look you want, and with the stone, if you put a house with a shingle, for example, I'm not saying if you walk right up and stand and stare for a while, you wouldn't figure out that it's steel. But the look from the curb is it's a beautiful shingle house. Oh, it looks nice. It's beautiful. Exactly what I want. Fits everybody else's. It's just that you're never going to do another one, and that's the key.
And so the cost factor, you're actually wasting your money on these 20-year GAF shingles, because first of all, they're not 20 years. They're 10 to 15 at the most down here in the South.
Sure.
And with your deal, it's going to be a minimum of 40 years. That's what you're guaranteeing it. But it's, if you're a young dude building a house, it's going to be up there the whole time.
Well, exactly. And where the savings really comes into play is a stone coated will be at the higher end of cost.
Yeah.
Some metal you get into in the neighborhood of a shingle anyway, but a stone coated may be a little higher than a standard shingle.
Right.
But if you're going to be there long term, where the real payoff comes is that, like you said, 18, 20, 22 years down the road, I got to replace this now with inflation.
Right.
Whatever that is, or I don't. And that's where it really comes into play is, and if you're a younger guy, you're just about the time you're getting your kids going to college and you want to buy the boat and you want to do that stuff that you kind of want to play with, putting another $25,000 roof on would be not cool if you didn't have to, right? Now all of a sudden you don't have to do that.
So
it's one and done.
Now I'm getting off in the weeds here. This is my real estate broker, but is that going to also make your house? Is that going to appreciate? Is the appraisal factor going to be higher as a result of having it should.
Here's where the experience I've had, it should. The experience that I've had, JR, is that with a good realtor, you can maintain the price let's say with all comps in the area, this house should be 700,000.
Right.
Somewhere between 660 and 720. Okay. You can probably hold out for your price easier. And if you're a good real estate agent, because you can explain to the homeowner that this is a transferable warranty and you've got still 30 years left on this warranty. You can buy that house over there for $20,000 less, but in about 7 years, you're going to spend 25 grand to put a new roof on. So yeah. I don't know that I couldn't necessarily say that it increases the value. It could, maybe. But my experience has been that it helps a good real estate agent maintain that value for the seller, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Now, tell me, is what's coming down the road that the general public like me doesn't know about, as far as stuff you're selling, stuff you're seeing, stuff you're reading in your, your trade journals? What's the new thing?
I think in the general roofing industry, what you're seeing now is what we just talked about. Is there's the advent of all kinds of decorative roofing, not just. And I'm going to speak for the industry because the industry is important. I feel like I'm a believer in metal roofs.
Oh
I
yeah,
think you should have a metal roof. If you don't buy my metal roof, buy somebody's metal roof. Buy my competitor's metal roof, but buy a metal roof, right? And so we all win together. And so there's a lot of, I guess I'd call it long life, decorative, if you want to, I guess the term I'm going to use, shingles, whether they're painted to look more like a shingle. They're painted to look more like a shake. They might be aluminum. They might be whatever, depending on what cost frame you want to get into. But, the fastest growing segment of the general market that I'm involved with right now is metal roofing in general, and any of the components and things that go along with metal roofing. But Charles just asked if you can install solar panels. Absolutely. They're very easy to install with metal. There's a lot of manufacturers out there, Charles, that make different types of clamps. Now, there's a whole industry that make clamps for installing solar on the different types of panels, because some panels are very flat, some have ribs. So there's numerous people out there that make a real nice business out of that. And solar's big on metal. Yes.
I put your banner down below. I buy from Randy.com. If you've got questions about this stuff, I mean, Randy's not up on the roof throwing this stuff up there, thank God.
Yeah.
But he certainly has the heart for it. And I would challenge anybody that has specific questions. This guy is a fount of information. I listen to his videos, and that would be a good way to get to specifics.
Absolutely. Love to talk with anybody, anytime.
So tell me something else. The pricing of this product versus the pricing of, say, an architectural, an upgrade architectural shingle that you find on $1 million house with the aggregate type.
20% more, 25.
But it's going to last twice as long. So
yeah, or longer.
Yeah, and you're actually going to be cheaper than a slate roof.
Yeah. Oh, way cheaper than a slate roof. And down in Florida, in my world, where I live here, I should say, because I'm coastal, a lot of clay tile, but there's still metal and there's still shingles. And as you know where you live, but here in Southern Florida, shingles don't last very long at all because it's brutally hot. It's warm most of the year, hot a lot of the year, and brutally hot the rest of the year, right? So they don't last a long time. But compared to with the tile look of a steel, and I say this with tile on my house, but with that said, much lighter. So if you're building new, the structure that you have to build from a trussing system is is less expensive by quite a bit because of the weight. The weight
Right.
of a metal roof is astronomically less, and I don't have those numbers in front of me, but way, way, way less. So the weight standpoint and the cost. And I love clay tile. Don't get me wrong. I love the roofing industry in general. So I have a clay tile, and I love having a clay tile as a metal guy. But if a roof is going to cost $80,000 for a clay tile, which is very possible, easy, even not even that big a home, you be half that cost on a metal.
Yeah,
and you get the same look. Not the same look. Now, brutally honest, because that's where I always want to be. If you're standing in the yard, I'm going to be able to tell you instantly, and then you would also, that's not a clay tile.
Right.
But driving at 40 mile an hour down the street, it looks at the tile, it looks good. And they make tile roofs that are painted that look very nice too. You know, I mean, I would like everybody to buy my product. I'm not going to sell everybody, you know, I mean.
Yeah. But in reality, only 1 out of 10, and it's probably going to be Tim the Toolman like you and me that are looking up and going, geez, that thing looks like clay, but it's really metal or something like that.
Yeah.
Because most people aren't even know.
The average person doesn't see it. They just see it and say, oh, you got a nice tile roof.
Yeah.
Nice shingle roof, nice shake roof, nice slate roof. There's metal that looks like slate.
That's what I'd be with.
You know, the biggest thing you want to look at is for people that are going to shop metal and they want it to look as real as they can, really go look at it in a showroom or really get a look, because if you don't, some are much more realistic than others.
Yeah.
And so you just want to make sure you know what you're buying and you're comfortable with the look. And
you get what you pay for, like anything else.
You do. And you want to be with a good installer. I mean, that's hugely important. I mean, I looked at some pictures the other day of a job that a customer of mine had went out on to fix for somebody else. And I mean, somebody ought to do jail time for that. I mean, that's just awful. So yeah, but the price was good.
Yeah, the price was good. What did they leave out?
My customer to come back and fix it.
Yeah, I've got a friend who bought a little bit over. Well, this was a couple years ago, but it was a $2 million house down here with a nice slate roof, copper flashing, beautiful house in a gated community, whole nine. I mean, a prestige community in Charlotte area, in South Park, and he had a small leak when he assumed, when he assumed title, move in and whatever. He didn't have a good rainstorm for a couple months. And then there was a drip in his back room.
Oh man.
And so he was going crazy. And I was the realtor that sold him the house. So I was going crazy too.
Yeah.
So I went over there because we're friends.
Sure.
And at that point, I've got pie on my face because, it's always your fault, for the
right. Oh, exactly.
Anyway, I went up there, and the more I looked, the more I ascertained, and it turned out to be the case. The guys that put the slate on the roof did not put 1 square inch of felt underlayment. They just laid the slate on the OSB or whatever it was, and he sued him. And it was a big mess, and he apologized profusely to me. That's the part of the story I like.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah,
I was the hero for once, but whatever you buy, make sure you got a competent installer. I don't care what it is.
Exactly. And one thing, what you just said there is, we recommend, and really the popular thing today is synthetic underlayments.
Yeah.
As opposed to felt.
Yeah.
And there's a theory that most people will agree to, and I think it's accurate, is that if you weather the house in other words, ice and water up north, down here we don't use ice and water, even though under tile they use an ice and water type product on the whole roof, because a lot of people, tile roofs are a decorative, and they keep the beating rain and hail and off the roof. You're sealing the roof with the underlayment products, right?
Yes.
And that's why sometimes after storms they'll weather it in with this underlayment, and it might be that way for a year after Irma. I remember flying back into Fort Myers for a year and a half before I started not seeing the blue tarps, right?
Yeah.
Because we took a pretty well direct hit right here with Irma. But if you install underlayment properly with manufacturer's recommendation, you do it all right. The roofing really should just be the decorative water shedding membrane, really, if you will. Not really membrane, but if you're relying on just your roof product to keep from having a leak, and that's a dangerous road to go down. So, and you experience that with this guy, and that's that cutting corners thing. So the problem is every time contractors cut corners, there's some great contractors out there, but every time they cut corners, it's usually the cheaper it is, because let's face it, if you don't have enough money in the job to do it right and to make a living, the chances are you're going to cut corners. And the real chances are, JR, is you're not going to come back and fix the problem, right? Because you have no money in it. You're
not going to be there anymore. You're going to be chapter 11 somewhere.
Right. And I always looked at it as, I heard a roofer one time tell a guy that wanted to hassle him about knocking the price. And he says, "What do you do?" He says, "I'm an engineer." He says, "So the next car they ask you to build, would you take 20% less money from your salary?" "Well, no." "Well, then I'm not taking less to do my job either." Right.
I always tell people, because in the business, one of the businesses I'm in is photography. Mm-hmm. And everybody's a photographer, and there's all these kids out there with cameras with arrow and the word front underneath if you look close. And they don't know hey, if they get $50, they're happy. Okay.
Right.
And so they want me to do their thing with my experience and my equipment and my this, that, and the other. And I just tell them, gee, that's a great price. I wonder what they're leaving out.
Right.
Because all of us get the same expenses.
Sure.
We're doing
exactly. And everybody deserves to make a fair profit for what they do.
Exactly.
I believe in that. Our mutual friend Ron just popped in on there. He sent me some pictures of his new roof. Well, I think last weekend, I believe he sent it to me. He was getting his new standing seam roof done up there. Beautiful looking job. So,
those New England winters are a whole lot different than down there in Florida. I mean, you got the palmetto bugs so big that they'll take your car away, and up there, although they don't have much of a winter up there, because he was showing me his bees were alive in the hive last weekend.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So,
I come from winter, though. Remember, I grew up in, well, that's not true, because I haven't grown up yet and have no intention now, but I spent, because speaking of Facebook never lies, right? So I read something on Facebook that said that if you haven't grown up by the time you turn 60, you don't have to. And I took that for gospel. That's the truth then. So, but I did spend way more than most of my life in Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
And we have our place in the summer. We go in northern Michigan.
The UP.
Well, no, not that far north. I'm not that stupid. That's it never stops snowing up there.
No, that's the other side of the world. That's above the Arctic Circle, I think.
It is almost. Beautiful area for about a month. But we're in an area, if you're familiar with Traverse City.
Yeah.
Cherry country, wine country, beautiful rolling hills. But we usually don't go back till at least late June or early July, because it still can be like hard to get to 60 sometimes. And I just become a warm weather guy, so
you get spoiled. That's why I'm here in Charlotte. It's from Rochester, New York. I mean, yep. I went down to Florida for a while, and I'm what's called a halfback.
Came back halfway back.
Yeah,
like it.
Yeah,
I got that one.
So let's wrap up here.
Yeah,
because I want to get back. It was fun talking to you about sticks and bricks, and about Ronnie's new roof and all this, but um, you're really making a lot more with a lot less effort because you're applying yourself more and you're having more fun. Is kind of what I've heard.
I'm having more fun. Here's the way I would. Things are 2020 was a good year for me.
Oh yeah.
And 2021, I believe, again, barring things that I can't foresee. I mean, my customers are already backed into spring already with work. So I think it's going to be a really, really good year.
That's good.
The exciting thing for me going into 2021 is two things, and they both come off the word adapt. I was successful, and I'm still in the midst of it, because I don't think you're ever anything. You're always in the midst of everything. But I'm in the midst of continuing to be a better adapter. That's the one thing that I did in 2020, and why I'm much more prepared going into a year ever than I've probably ever been. Because we're still in COVID. We're still in lockdowns. We're still in, you can't do this, you can't go there, and people don't want you to come in. So until that changes, that's okay, because you know what? I figured out what to do about it, and I can do it quite well. When the time comes that I can do it, I'll go back to some hybrid of that, right? But even more important than that, JR, the thing that I think is the biggest key to me of 2020 was that I accepted and learned the concept of adapting. I've learned to accept that adapting is an ongoing thing that has to happen. And I don't look at it as being scared of it. I don't look at it as being frightened of it. I don't look at it as something that I hate. I just look at it as, okay, I guess we need to adapt to that then. And once you get a mindset of adapting, and that was hard for me, because as we talked, I've been doing what I've been doing as prior to 10 months ago. There was no Randy 2.5 hybrid amazing. It was Randy Road Warrior, bang it out, 7 days a week, baby. And so it took a while to adapt away from that. So I'd never say I'm glad COVID happened, because I wish it wouldn't have. But if things happen, what I was able to draw out of it, I think, if the silver lining, if you will, is, would I have made all the moves to be more of a hybrid way of doing business? Probably not. Would I have done some? I think I would have, because I feel like I was at a point in my life where I needed to adapt. I knew I needed to adapt to a little something different. I just didn't know what different was.
Can we?
I was forced
not to interrupt, but can I modify a word?
Yeah.
You're not adapting. You're evolving.
That works too.
I like evolving.
It's just that I can't spell that.
Oh, okay.
I go with words
why
I can spell.
That's why you invited the bookworm into the conversation, right?
No, I like that. But I don't know about you, but when you have words you can't spell and spell check doesn't do it, I just find a different word.
Yeah, but I saw something. One of my friends posted something today, entirely off subject. What's another word for thesaurus?
That's
That's me. Choice. But I like evolving, because evolving is like the next step.
Exactly.
And you're not adapting. Yeah, you're sort of adjusting, but evolving is you're using these techniques. And it amazes me that guys like us that are old road warrior types are embracing this stuff more than the young guys and gals.
And you're right.
We see the value.
Right. And we do see the value. And, from a standpoint from an age standpoint, and my wanting to do this forever, because I have zero end game. People ask me that once in a while. I have no end game. I mean, that's not even a consideration.
Me neither. I'm having fun.
So on my podcast today, my guest, we chatted about that. And he was a semi-pro rugby player from Wales back in his younger days.
Nice.
And he talked about athletes and how they get hurt, right? They get an injury. They miss a season. They set out. And he says, a lot of these athletes will come back and that elongates their career because that's 1 year. If you normally get 10 years of playing at that level, 1 year is 10%, right? And so sometimes, as much as they don't want to set out because of an injury, they might get 1 or 2 more additional years and elongate their career because of that injury. And so, not that we all want to get injured, but it made us think as we talked about it. We talked about that last week, that with, you know, all the technology and all the things that we have, that can just increase the amount of touches, the amount of places we can be. Because you talk about it, tomorrow morning, we're sitting here tonight. I'm in Naples and you're in Charlotte. We're chatting. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, I'm going to be on a Zoom call with a guy in Montana. So,
Right.
I mean, would I be doing that without virtual? No, because I might be in Montana tonight and just spend $600 on a plane. You know, all the stuff we talked about.
Right.
But I'm
Plus,
studying here.
Montana in January. My family just went skiing up there a couple of weeks ago, and it was minus a million below.
Oh yeah,
And so
nuts.
God bless Alan and all those people that live there. You can have it.
Yeah, you can have it. Yeah, I got a good buddy, a good friend of mine, and a customer that lives about 20 miles south of Alan. So
Yeah.
So Alan and I are going to go we're going to go on a burger run when I go up to see my customer whenever it makes sense to travel out there again.
And you get to see his Aussie.
Exactly. I get to
Wow.
hug Rocky.
Rocky the Aussie.
Yeah,
Well,
he's a
listen,
cool dog.
it's been great. Hang out in the green room, and I'll wrap this up, and we'll be right there.
You got it. Thanks for having me on, my friend.
My pleasure, sir. Well, there we have it. Hopefully we stayed on target enough so you got something out of it. But, you know, we're two guys with some age on us and enjoying the heck out of what we do because we're embracing the new technologies. I hope you got some ideas about getting into those new technologies. Do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Like this. Give me your comments. Subscribe. I'm going to be exploring many more of these avenues of new ways to create business, to create relationships, to be happy. I really enjoyed our conversation tonight. Randy is a very good friend, as you can tell. And I hope that you can be my enjoyable new friend too. Please do subscribe and come back. We've got more wonderful shows lined up.